Economics, Form 2. So we are at lesson 1 and the definition of economics. So when we look at economics, we realize that it comes from Greek language. So the origin of the word economics, the word economics originates from two Greek words: oikos, which means house, nomos, which means manager or management. So these two words came together to form oikonomos, which has been transformed today into economics. If we want to define it, we will say economics is the science that deals with production, distribution, and consumption. Economics is the science that deals with production, distribution, and consumption. So, as we can see, there are many other definitions to economics, but they all center around production of wealth and its management and use. So, all these definitions center around production of wealth, its management and use. So, understanding of economics, we are looking at this definition. We produce goods and services, which are generally known as commodities, which we can consider as wealth. So the goods and services which we produce can be considered as wealth. So we don't produce rubbish. We produce what can be consumed. We produce what can be consumed, not rubbish. When we produce, we make sure that the good or the service is consumed by making it available to the consumer. So somehow we are going through the three words that we use: production, consumption, and distribution. So production, which is the first strong word that we use there, it provides goods and services. That's production. It provides goods and services. That's the first part of economics. These are made available to consumers through distribution. So these goods and services are made available to the consumer through distribution. Consumers pay for the goods and services. They pay for these goods and services. So when they pay for these goods and services, the producer now has the means of production, to produce again and distribute to the consumer. So as we are seeing, we thus have a continuous cycle. The producer wants to keep producing so that he remains active and alive. The consumer has to keep consuming because he will keep needing the commodities, and distribution has to be constantly there if the good has to continue to the consumer. So that is where we get our cycle, which is continuous. So all in the economic situation, all these forces are important: the producer, the consumer, and distribution. So in the end, we have this cycle. We have production, we have distribution, we have consumption. Now, nobody knows where it starts because the producer produces what he has noticed that people are consuming. That is one. He can produce what he thinks people may accept to consume. That is two. When he produces, he uses distribution to get the products to the consumer. When the consumer consumes, he pays for what he's consuming, and the money goes to the producer, who now has the means of production. So you see that it is a continuous cycle, very continuous. We can take big examples like, say, CDC, which which if we say CDC produces bananas, it doesn't consume the bananas itself. It produces because it knows that there's a banana market. There are consumers of banana. So when it produces, it looks around. It knows that the consumers of banana are in Europe. If the consumers of banana are in Europe, how does the banana get there? Because the bananas have to be made available to the consumers. So that is how distribution comes in now. The consumers in Europe now pay for the bananas received. They consume the bananas, they pay for the bananas received, and it enables CDC to continue production. So when it continues production, it gets more bananas, it distributes the bananas until they get to Europe, and from Europe, after consumption, CDC is capable of reproducing. So that is how we look at that, our cycle. Now, let's look at another example. Let's look at another example. Palm oil in Lobe produces palm oil, that is its principal product. Now, when it produces palm oil, to produce palm oil, it has to pay a lot of money for palm seedlings, which it plants, for the weeders, the harvesters, pesticides, and in the end, it produces palm oil. Now, if it produces the palm oil, so what does palm oil do? It sends its palm oil to Bamenda, as to the northwest region, to different parts of the southwest region, to littoral, and part of it goes out. That is distribution. Now, the consumers of this palm oil pay for the palm oil, and the money goes back to palm oil. So palm oil now is capable of paying its workers, following up the replanting of palms, harvesting, care for the palms, and all whatnot. And so you see the production process is guaranteed, such that if it is guaranteed, the palm oil supplies too is guaranteed. So those are examples that I wanted you to get. Now let's look at these two terms, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics deals with the economic behavior of individual decision-making units or particular sectors of the economy. So we're looking at the economic behavior of individual decision-making units or particular sectors of the economy. What could we describe as an individual decision-making unit or a particular sector of the economy? The individual decision-making unit could be a factory. We could be looking at the economy of SICAM or CDC, say some production, palm oil production of palm oil, or we could be looking at a sector of the economy. If we take the sugar sector, the demand for sugar rising or falling, the demand for rice rising or falling, all of these could be considered under microeconomics. So all of these could be considered under microeconomics. So as you can see, it is kind of narrow. It deals with the economic behavior of individual decision-making units. It has not gone through a big sector or a country or whatever. It's an individual decision-making unit or a particular sector of the economy. On the other hand, macroeconomics deals with the behavior of collections of decision-making units. So it means that we're looking at national figures or national influences or decisions or economic trends that will be considered under macroeconomics. Take, for example, the national income. The national income comprises of different sectors that bring in income. So if we group all these different sectors together, we come up with something like the national income that is considered under macroeconomics. We have other aspects like the rate of investment, or maybe the general price level, or inflation. You know, when inflation comes in, it affects everybody and everything. It doesn't affect a simple unit. It affects everybody and everything. Now, I will want you to read Economics Made Simple by this man. Yes, Economics Made Simple. Are you closing already?